In your opinion, at a high level, what does this report say about decision-making culture within administration?
In the current structure, the reliance upon building consensus naturally builds in a delay in taking decisions in a timely manner. And that's why we're recommending to go to more of a direct authority to make decisions, force consultation to ensure that you understand the implications of those decisions on other departments, but hold someone accountable for reaching the right conclusion in a timely fashion.
You know, in that, when I think about accountability, I always think about organizational, the culture and the governance behind accountability. It's always connected in my mind. So what was interesting in your report on page 22, council needs to understand whether the governance changes that were made during the 2020-2021 restructuring improved accountability for our water system or made it more fragmented than before. I understand that the previous city structure had a general manager for utilities. Was this more of a singular executive accountability for the full water system back then than it is now?
Yes, although it was broader than just the water utility. It included waste collection and the other services that the city collects revenue for. So I think it was logically a business unit created that had self-supporting revenue as kind of the boundary for that management accountability. I would say that this transition has taken quite a bit of time. I don't think it was helpful in getting to greater accountability for the outcomes in the water line of business.
So to help us understand governance and accountability, so who specifically had final decision-making authority over water infrastructure, condition, and risk prior to 2020 and then after 2020?
Prior to 2020, it would have been the general manager of utility and environmental services. Would have been the most senior person, but I don't think they had unfettered decision-making around everything in their sphere of control. They still reported into the general manager for the city or the chief administrative officer for the city.
I guess I'm just wondering why the city decided to reorg. Like, from your report and your analysis, do you understand why that happened?
The objectives, as we understood them, were those of capitalizing on functional development. And so bringing all of the engineering into one engineering team allows you to build an engineering group with more depth, more breadth, better project management skills, et cetera, et cetera. That would generally be why you go to a matrix operation or organization.
Okay, thank you. But from what I'm hearing, though, is that organizational change, the restructuring improvement, it sounds like it didn't improve the accountability for water infrastructure. It sounds like it exaggerated the fragmentation because multiple managers now were involved in responsibilities that were, diffused. Would that be correct?
That is correct. I would say even prior to the reorganization, though, you had risks around this pipe being identified in risk registries and not getting acted on. And so even having a general manager of the utility allowed this slippage, if you will, of attention to a critical piece of infrastructure to be ignored. And so, the answer here isn't one organization, and that's really why we've said our recommendations need to be taken as a collective. We need to get at the right process discipline and rigor. We need to get a management team that's dedicated to executing and delivering the outcomes of the water utility, and we need to have a qualified group of experts that can challenge the thinking of management and ensure the long-term best interests are being addressed in the decisions being taken.
You'll note that in 2015, this outfit, Telus Financial Consultants, was hired. They're a very large consulting group based in the United States, and they do a lot of water utility work. And they concluded that there should be, in the Calgary Water Department, that was when it was a department, an expert oversight board and a financial director in the water group. And both of those never came to pass.
Do you know why they didn't?
I don't.
Lastly, given your recommendations, the panel's recommendations, do you feel if those are in place, or if they were in place, we could have prevented, or the crisis could have been averted?
Short answer, yes. We should have been able to, and that's why I would express disappointment in finding ourselves where we are. We should have, with proper oversight, have flagged that management was addressing short-term demands for growth, etc., at the expense of creating proper redundancy and resiliency in the water network. That should have been caught by the risk processes. It should have been caught through the reporting, and it should have been caught through some independent expert challenge to how management was addressing their priorities.